Chartres is a commune and capital of the Eure-et-Loir department in France. It is located 96 kilometers southwest of Paris. This city is well known for its cathedral. History: Chartres was in Gaul one of the principal towns of the Chartres, a Celtic tribe. In the Gallo-Roman period, it was called Autricum, name derived from the river Auchera, and afterwards Civitas Carnutum, city of the Chartres, from which Chartres got its name. The city was burned by the Normans in 858, and unsuccessfully besieged by them in 911. In the year 1000 AD, Hilduin de Breteuil, of Norman's origin, lord of Nanteuil-la-Haudin, of Romerupt of Creil and Breteuil, became the Viscount of Chartres and Grand More registered trademark de France for the King Robert II of France, was husband of Emmeline de Chartres in 1028 and father of Adela de Breteuil, that next become wife of Raoul de Valois Cra copyright Py, Earl of Cra copyright Pyn Valois, Amiens and Bar-sur-Aube. From him, the family de Nanteuil. During the Middle Ages, it was the most important town of the Beauce. It gave its name to a countship which was held by the Counts of Blois, and the Counts of Champagne, and afterwards by the House of Car-Saint-Hélène, a member of which sold it to the Crown in 1286. In 1417, during the Hundred Years' War, Chartres fell into the hands of the English, from whom it was recovered in 1432. In 1528, it was raised to the rank of a duchy by Francis I in 1568. During the Wars of Religion, Chartres was unsuccessfully besieged by the Huguenot leader, the Prince of Condé copyright. It was finally taken by the royal troops of Henry IV on April 19, 1591. On Sunday 27 February 1594, the Cathedral of Chartres was the site of the coronation of Henry IV after he converted to the Catholic faith, the only king of France whose coronation ceremony was not performed in Reims. In 1674, Louis XIV raised Chartres from a duchy to a duchy peerage in favour of his nephew, Philippe II, Duke of Eure-et-Loir. The title of Duke of Chartres was hereditary in the House of Eure-et-Loir, and given to the eldest son of the Duke of Eure-et-Loir. In the 1870–1871 Franco-Prussian War, Chartres was seized by the Germans on October 2, 1870, and continued during the rest of the war to be an important centre of operations. In World War II, the city suffered heavy damage by bombing and during the Battle of Chartres in August 1944, but its cathedral was spared by an American Army officer who challenged the order to destroy it. On August 16, 1944, Colonel Welburn Barton Griffith, Jr. questioned the necessity of destroying the cathedral and volunteered to go behind enemy lines to find out whether the Germans were using it as an observation post. With his driver, Griffith proceeded to the cathedral and, after searching it all the way up its bell tower, confirmed to headquarters that it was empty of Germans. The order to destroy the cathedral was withdrawn. Colonel Griffith was killed in action later on that day in the town of Lavez, 3.5 kilometers north of Chartres. For his heroic action both at Chartres and Lavez, Colonel Griffith received, posthumously, several decorations awarded by the President of the United States and the U.S. military, and also from the French government, following deep reconnaissance missions in the region by the 3rd Cavalry Group and units of the 1139 Engineer Combat Group, and after heavy fighting in and around the city, Chartres was liberated, on August 18, 1944, by the U.S. 5th Infantry and 7th Armored Divisions belonging to the 20 Corps of the U.S. 3rd Army commanded by General George S. Patton. Population. Geography: Chartres is built on a hill on the left bank of the Eure River. Its renowned medieval cathedral is at the top of the hill, and its two spires are visible from miles away across the flat surrounding lands. To the southeast stretches the fertile plain of Beauce, the granary of France, of which the town is the commercial centre. Main sites: Cathedrals and churches. Chartres is best known for his cathedral, the Catholic copyright Rail Notre-Dame de Chartres, which is considered one of the finest and best preserved Gothic cathedrals in France and in Europe. Its historical and cultural importance has been recognized by its inclusion on the UNESCO list of World Heritage Sites. It was built on the site of the former Chartres Cathedral of Romanesque architecture, which was destroyed by fire in 1194. Begun in 1205, the construction of Notre Dame de Chartres was completed 66 years later. The stained glass windows of the cathedral were financed by guilds of merchants and craftsmen, and by wealthy noblemen, whose names appear at the bottom. It is not known how the famous and unique bleu de Chartres of the glass was created, and it has been impossible to replicate it. The French author Michel Pastoureau says that it could also be called bleu de Saint-Denis. The Église Saint-Pierre de Chartres was the church of the Benedictine Abbé Saint Parien Valle copyright founded in the 7th century by Queen Balthild. At time of its construction, the abbey was outside the walls of the city. It contains fine stained glass, 12 representations of the apostles in enamel, created about 1547 by La Copyright Hernard Limousin. Other noteworthy churches of Chartres are Saint Aignan, and Saint Martin Orval, inside the Saint Brice Hospital. Museums Musée Copyright des Beaux-Arts, Fine Arts Museum, housed in the former Episcopal Palace adjacent to the cathedral. Musée Copyright La Grenier de l'Histoire, History Museum specializing in military uniforms and accoutrements, in La Vez. Le Centre International du Vitrail, a workshop museum and cultural center devoted to stained glass art, located 50 meters from the cathedral. Musée Copyright des Sciences Naturelles et de la Copyright Histoire, Natural Science and Prehistory Museum, Conservatoire du mécanisme des pratiques agricoles, an agricultural museum. Other sites The Eure River, which at this point divides into 3 branches, is crossed by several bridges, some of them ancient, and is fringed in places by remains of the old fortifications, of which the Porte Guillaume, a gateway flanked by towers, was the most complete specimen, until destroyed by the retreating German army in the night of 15 to August 16, 1944. The steep, narrow streets of the old town contrast with the wide, shady boulevards which encircle it and separate it from the suburbs. The CBS Street Jean, a pleasant park, lies to the northwest, and squares and open spaces are numerous. The Hôtel de Ville, a building of the 17th century, houses a museum and a library. The Maison Canoniale dating back to the 13th century, and several medieval and Renaissance houses, are of interest. There is a statue of General Marceau, a native of Chartres and a general during the French Revolution. La Maison Pixiette, a house decorated inside and out with mosaics of Chartres of broken china and pottery. Economy Chartres is one of the most important market towns in the region of Beauce. The game pies and other delicacies of Chartres are well known, and the industries also include flour milling, brewing, distilling, iron founding, leather manufacture, perfumes, dyeing, and the manufacture of electronic equipment, car accessories, stained glass, billiard requisites and hosiery. Since 1976 fashion and perfumes company Puig has a production plant in this commune. Transport The Gare de Chartres railway station offers frequent services to Paris, and a few daily connections to Le Mans, Nogent-le-Rotrou and Courtelane. The A11 motorway connects Chartres with Paris and Le Mans. Sport Chartres is home to 2 semi-professional association football clubs. FC Chartres, who play in the French 6th Division, and HB Chartres, who play in the 7th tier. Chartres has a table tennis club which is playing in the Pro A and in the European Champions League. The club won the ETTU Cup on the season 2010 and Euro 2011 and it finished at the 2nd position in the French 1st Division. Chartres has the 2nd most important squash club in France. There is also a handball club and it is playing in the French 2nd Division. In November 2012, Chartres organized the European Short Course Swimming Championships. Diocese. The town is the seat of a diocese, a prefecture, and a coardiocese. It has a tribunal de grande instance, a tribunal d'instance, a chamber of commerce and a branch of the Banque de France. Public and religious schooling from kindergarten through high school and vocational schools is given in mixed establishments. The 2 main high schools are the L'École Copyright Jean de Beauce and the L'École Copyright Marceau, named after 2 important personages of the history of Chartres, Jean de Beauce was a 16th-century architect who rebuilt the northern steeple of the cathedral after it had been destroyed by lightning in July 1506, and Marceau, a native of City, who was a general during the French Revolution of 1789. Pilgrimages Chartres has been a site of Catholic pilgrimages since the Middle Ages. The poet Charles Parr copyright Guy revived the pilgrimage route between Paris and Chartres before World War I. After the war, some students carried on the pilgrimage in his memory. Since 1982, the Association Notre-Dame de Creux Copyright T&T Copyright, with offices in Versailles, organizes the annual 100 km pilgrimage on foot from Notre-Dame de Paris to Notre-Dame de Chartres. About 15,000 pilgrims, from France and countries outside of France, participate every year. Bishops Notable bishops of Chartres, Fulbert of Chartres, Saint Ivo of Chartres, John of Salisbury, Iraq de la Marque. Personalities: Chartres was the birthplace of copyright Lanny Boucher, a French pilot, Jacques-Pierre Brichot, a leading member of the Girondist movement, Julien Satout, footballer, Arlette Chabot, French journalist, Fulcher of Chartres, chronicler of the First Crusade, Philippe de Dangeau, officer and member of the Acadé copyright My Section Philippe Desportes, poet, Antoine Section des Roues, poisoner, Locy Duval, professional racing driver. Currently A1 Team France, Formula Nippon and Super GT, Julien Escude copyright, professional footballer for Sevilla FC and the France national football team, Nicolas Escude copyright, professional tennis player, Andrew copyright Far copyright Libene, architect and historiographer, Akil Gouet copyright Na copyright E, lawyer and entomologist, Pierre-Jules Hetzel, editor and publisher, Laura Camdop, handball player, Eric Lada footballer, Frana Section Wazar copyright Veron Marceau de Scraviers, general, Pierre Nicole, Jansenist theologian, Jar copyright Rami Parr copyright Tion de Villeneuve, writer and politician, Alison Pinot handball player, Matthew Rinra copyright Gnaya, satirist, Jacqueline de Ramilly, philologist, classical scholar, and fiction writer. International relations. Twin towns Euro sister cities Chartres is twinned with, Ravenna in Italy, Speyer in Germany, Chichester in the United Kingdom, Bethlehem in Palestinian Authority, Apermalvora in Portugal, Cusco in Peru, Sakurai, Nara in Japan. Gallery. See also, Chartres Cathedral, communes of the Eure-et-Loir department, Chartres, Champol Aerodrome. References, INSEE. This article incorporates text from a publication now in the public domain, Chisholm, Hugh, ed. Encyclopædia Britannica. Cambridge University Press. Chartres and the Chartres Cathedral, a Euro Visitor Guide, La Maison Pixie in Chartres. External links, Tourist Office website, City Council website, Chartres Archaeology Service website, website about archaeological excavations, visiting Chartres. Photo of the Abbey Church of St. Pierre. Music recorded in Chartres Cathedral in the resonance base of the labyrinth. Chartres World Heritage Site and Panographies, a Euro 360-degree interactive imaging.